Hi friends, I'm Birdie. Welcome to my channel. I recently tackled a watercolor cherry blossom painting. As a self-taught amateur, it took me 9 hours, a lot of trial and errors, but I'm thrilled with how it turned out. It's not perfect, but it's a result I love. Today, I'm going to share my journey through several failed attempts at painting the background, the mistakes I made, and how I finally achieved a smooth finish. Let's dive in. In this first try, I didn't wet paper enough before getting started, so when I began painting, the colors just wouldn't flow. In an attempt to fix it, I added more water when I went in with the blue, but honestly that just made things a bit worse. The extra water ended up pushing the initial layer of paint around, causing the color to shift and settle unevenly instead of blending smoothly. I ended up with this patchy look where the water and pigment didn't spread out evenly. In another try, I faced issues with water pooling along the edges where the masking tape was. As the paper inside dried, the water along the edges pushed the pigment away, leaving a clear watermark. Also, when I tried to lift some color off, I didn't dry my brush well enough. The excess water flowed out, creating another watermark. Plus, while I was working on the upper background, water seeped into the still damp lower section, leaving another watermark. Then there was a time I tried to touch up the background by adding another layer of color without wetting the paper first. The paint dried super quick on such a small sheet, so it just wouldn't flow or blend, just left a bunch of hard edges. To make matters worse, my attempts to overwork the area only resulted in rough textures and a muddy appearance. And here's another issue I ran into. Pigment kept piling up right at edges of my painted area, creating these intense hard lines rather than nice and soft. This happened because I added paint too close to the boundary, not just once but twice. The inside was drying slower than the edges, so the water just kept pushing towards the still damp boundary areas. After several attempts, I realized that most issues stemmed from not wetting the background adequately. Since pigments won't flow or blend without sufficient water, and the essence of watercolor is to let pigment flow and blend, I made sure to apply a generous layer of water this time to avoid any part drying too quickly. I traced the boundary very carefully, not to retrace it with color to prevent creating any edge blooms. When adding color to the water layer, I stayed clear from the boundaries to prevent excessive pigment accumulation, an issue we've previously encountered. This time, we could see the water glisten as we added different colors. Watching them flow freely and blend together was gratifying. I added some purple to enhance the color variety and improve the blend between blue and scarlet. When creating highlights, I ensured that both the background and my brush were not wet to prevent colors from bleeding into each other. When blending colors next to each other on dry layer, I match the water levels in brush to avoid unintentionally pushing pigments around and creating watermarks. For detailing on the branch, I painted on dry paper and used the damp brush to soften any hard edges. Regarding the leaves, I lift color from the background to achieve a softer edge. However, this technique resulted in the leaves appearing duller than those painted directly on unpigmented paper. I tried enhancing the highlights by lifting the color again, but it was not effective. The two leaves where I lifted the background color are noticeably duller than the others. However, the results are decent, and since they're part of the background, I decided to accept them as they are. This wraps up today's journey. I hope this video inspires you, especially if you are learning watercolor on your own. Maybe it even brought a smile if you faced similar struggles. I'd love to hear your experience and any tips you might have, so please drop a comment below. If you're interested in my following process on this cherry blossom painting, check out my other videos on painting the blossoms and the complete watercolor process. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.